Back for another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. This is Jonathan Howe alongside Travis Cunningham for episode 63. Are we on 63?
63.
Nice.
It's a toughie.
Yeah, I really just struggle with this. So I'll ask you first off the hop. Do you got a 63?
Locally, no. Not really. Couldn't think of one. But I got a really famous car in dirt motorsports, and it's the Hampshire Motorsports number 63. And they're really famous for driver Jack Hewitt. He won a couple All-Star championships with it with a wing on, won the Silver Crown Championship with it, won a whole bunch of wingless races in the USAC, became the all-time leading sprint car winner and Silver Crown winner. And then, so Jack Hewitt was mainly, but then a bunch of other people have driven it too. Chad Kemanaugh recently was the most recent one, probably. And Cody Swanson. That's the 63 Cody Swanson was driving on the USAC Silver Crown Tour a few years ago, killing everybody with it. So that's a big one. I love that one, the Hampshire 63. That's a real famous car.
I think I'm stumped, but I have to double check. Yeah, I think I'm stumped on a 63.
I thought of another one that's a big deal, the dirt modified world. Okay, but you go.
You go, because I definitely am wrong about this, but I don't know why. Am I picturing Jay-Z driving a 63 at some point?
No, I was a 62 in the truck.
That's what it is.
We forgot 62. That one last week.
Yeah, we could have said that. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to be the number for Ohsweken. Probably not.
67. It's the same car, like the same number PPM would drive, and Seabell drove it.
True. Okay.
That's the Hills spare car that they always put the ringers in.
Nice.
And then,
okay.
So 63. Syracuse Mile was named the Moody Mile, and a lot of people make mistakes and think because the track wrecked a lot of cars and it was a moody track. So some people think that's why it was called the Moody Mile, which is actually untrue. It's because Wes Moody was the first person to hit 100 miles an hour average or something, and his car was number 63. So the Moody Mile was actually named after Wes Moody, and he's the number 63, Moody Mile.
There we go. That's a good one. A way to reach into the memory banks for that one. I like that.
I Googled that. I thought of the Hampshire one by myself, but then I Googled it, and then that one popped up. I was like, dang, that's a good one, too.
That is a good one. I like that. That's a good pick. Good pick from you, Travis. Okay, let's just jump right into it, because we're going to go no guest this week. We're just going to roll out some results locally. Big week coming up next week with the Pinty's cars taking over Ohsweken. And, of course, the 360 Sprint's also going to be part of that show. And we're going to try to come up with a bunch of content from that. I still have a vlog to edit together from my trip to Brockville, so maybe that'll come out at some point in the not-too-distant future. Lots going on. We're in the heat of the season. It was going to be a doubleheader weekend at Merrittville, but let's start with what happened on Friday night at Ohsweken. So let's just jump right into
Memorial Night.
Memorial Night, right? And it was, by all accounts, a pretty special night from what I heard.
Yeah. Who won? Bowman won the crates.
Which I called.
Beagle won. You did. And then I believe we called Beagle winning the street stocks as well.
I think we did. And if I was going to call somebody to win the mini stocks, the Art Hill Memorial, I probably would have picked the old 17, our pal Alex Riley.
Oh, yeah. It was Alex Riley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So familiar faces in victory lane on that one.
Yeah. Let's start with
racing all around.
Let me run through the quick top 5 here for the Strickland Crate Sprints. 28 laps. Mike Bowman is your winner at the end of the 28 over Mac Demand. Steve Murdoch, Brett Strafford, Dale Curran. I think we pretty much predicted that top 5, except maybe Dale Curran. I don't
think we didn't say him.
I think we've been sleeping on him.
He's been having tough luck this year.
Yeah, exactly, right?
He's fast, but just had tough luck this year.
Yeah.
So no LTL Memorial. Twin. They scored it as a full 28, but it was ran in twin 14 format.
Yeah.
I think.
It's almost like now as a whole race, I think that's kind of interesting to kind of have that pause. It almost reminds me of some kind of longer all-star event that you would split up into multiple segments or something like that, right? But for sprint cars. So that was kind of neat. I wonder how many I haven't had a chance to go back and watch yet, but I wonder how many cars changed or faded or maybe came alive between the two 14s.
Yeah, I'll admit I didn't watch too much of it. I watched the second half and saw Bowman and Demand going at it, and they both hit that hole in turn 1. It seemed to get worse last week. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
They both saved it, but then they figured out how to get through it. But yeah, it looked like it was worse last week. I hate to say that hole.
Yeah.
Hope they got her fixed.
Hopefully. Over in the Middleport Mechanical Thunder Stocks, 50 lapper for them, and another dandy in the street stocks. By all accounts, I, I mean, I was tweeting about the Saturday race, but as good as the Saturday race, it sounds like Friday was just as good too, with the usual cast of characters up there contesting the Brock Leonard Memorial 50. And of course, Ryan Beagle, the big dog, continues to show up for the big events this year, getting the win over Dave Bailey, Kyle Wirt, Justin Ramsey, and Christopher Hale. And if you haven't gone back and watched the clips on G-Force, I did see the clips of the finish of this one where Beagle, Bailey, and Wirt were battling it out. Oh, that was good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I was watching that one, and yeah, the way Beagle was getting a run, going high and run down the bank. I see him use that move in iRacing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw him use it in real life. It was kind of fun.
And like we mentioned earlier, Alex Riley gets the win in the Art Hill, winning that one after 42 laps. 17 comes across first over Austin Worstro, Ashton Dickey, Fabio Oliveri, and Matt Newell. Rounds out your top 5 there. And that's 17. Really heating up. It's a good season for Alex.
Yeah, he's the new 96 from last year, it seems, turning into that.
Yeah, not quite reached that level of dominance, but he's getting close, and he's always a factor anytime he shows up, which is about all you can ask for. Merrittville kind of had the win taken out of their sails. Oh,
I want to talk about one more race at Ohsweken because we forgot to cover it.
Oh, what's that?
Did you? They did the Noah's Dash. We didn't mention it last week, but like I know a lot of people have seen that video. I think it was from Boone, Iowa, where they had the sprint cars and the mod lights and a whole bunch of different classes out at the same time.
Yes.
Well, they had a race like that on Friday, and they called it the Noah's Dash in memory of Noah Thomas, who was a friend of the Speedway. Lost him a few years ago. But yeah, this must have been Doug's idea because him and Doug were real tight. I know that. And yeah, so they did that with the crate sprints, mini stocks, and street stocks. And I don't know how it worked out. I would have heard if someone, like, no one tore anything up, but I'm pretty sure a mini stock won it.
How did a mini stock beat a crate sprint?
Because they start the crate sprints laps down.
Oh, I see.
That's how they did it at the Boone thing. I should have watched that one live. I didn't, but I just wanted to mention it because I thought that was a cool deal.
Yeah. So Wade Thorne's mini stock ended up winning it over Brett Stratford.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I don't know how they did the format though. Like, I know they must have started the crates like a lap down and stuff, because that's how they did it, and they had to catch up.
Yeah. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing with a new season of family-friendly events on the horizon and set to begin May 19th. Catch our own Travis Cunningham as he races weekly in the 360 division each Friday night in pursuit of a season-long championship. The Friday night lineups are rounded out by crate sprints, thunder stocks, and mini stock divisions as well. In addition to weekly racing, Ohsweken Speedway will also hold several marquee events for the Southern Ontario Sprints, the Action Sprint Tour in their West Series and National Series, as well as a visit from Canada's premier stock car series, the NASCAR Pinty Series, on August 14th and 15th for their only stop on dirt. Mark your calendars as the 3/8 mile dirt track located in Ohsweken, Ontario welcomes drivers from across the country and beyond for the 19th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is scheduled for September 16th. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's OHSWEKEN Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. Well, we appreciate Ohsweken Speedway. We can't wait to be there next week, and thanks again to all they do for the show, as well as Bicknell Racing Products and racing for the Van Sickle Pet Value team. Of course, Alex Riley gets a big win, so don't forget to go and grab your tickets to Merrittville Speedway from Van Sickle Pet Value in St. Catharines or the Lundy's Lane Pet Value location at the corner of Kayla Road and Lundy's Lane. If you want to go to the race, it's the best way to beat the lines and get yourself into the event without having to wait at the front end. Like I say, Saturday night, that was Friday was by all accounts a dandy. We had a pretty good night of racing on Saturday night as well. So let's jump right on into it with, we'll start with we got to start with the sportsman because it was the Bill Willard easy for me to say. Bill Willard Senior Sterling Silver Dirt Car Sportsman event.
Ooh, That one is a tongue twister.
I did so good on Saturday night without saying any mess ups. I think I messed it up once talking about it on Sunday night at Humberstone. And then, of course, podcast time when I have the most time and least amount of stress, mess it up. But either way, Cody McPherson gets the win in his family's race for the second straight year, winning it over Mitch Dumont, Chad Chevalier, Adam Leslie, and Brent Bigelow. Although I do have to say, that Taylor Vanderzanden seemed like he had that thing won until he broke. It sounds like, was it an axle or drive something in the drivetrain? I think broke under caution was the reports that I heard.
Oh yeah, the drive shaft.
Drive shaft. That's what came out.
Came out under caution. Yeah,
tough break.
T. Miller told us that because then I said that happened to my modified once under caution as well. Which he's lucky it happened under caution because that happens under green and it's tearing a lot of stuff up. Under caution, it can just fall down.
Yeah.
Like I remember feeling real lucky as that as well, but I wasn't leading at the time. He was.
Yeah, it was a tough break for the 74, but Vanderzanden definitely made his presence felt, and Cody McPherson catches the break and ends up going away from 12th to get the win, moving up 11 spots on the night. Pretty good and pretty impressive stuff from him.
Lucky 7.
Yeah, lucky 7.
Gets lucky.
Yeah, a lot. Every time I talk about Cody, it's like everyone, the first thing they'll say is they always give him credit for being good, having great equipment. And then they always mention the third thing that's most important in racing is luck. He always seems to have luck on his side. The whole field stacks up in front of him, and he seems to be the one that drives around it unscathed for the most part. So
when you're Cody good and like a Matt Shepard or stuff, like you're so in the other guy's heads when you even show a nose, it's almost like the other guys subconsciously just slow down a little bit because deep down in their minds they know they're beat.
Yeah,
that totally is a thing. Yeah.
Over in the modifieds, Brad Rouse scored his second modified win, beating Daryl Fairway, Pete McNell, Justin Sharp, and Luke Carlton. I feel like Brad definitely this one was kind of due. I felt like he's been bad fast all season long in that 18R modified, but I feel like the real story is Justin Sharp back in a modified in quite some time, and honestly, I think if he got a late caution and kind of stacked up the field, that might have been Sharpie's race to win because he was the only modified that could really work the top side of Merrittville. And for him to jump back into the modified class like that, it was a pretty impressive run.
Yeah, Steve Zelsnak said we should have had him on the show this week, and to talk about the W16. I'm like, but we've talked about it a lot, but we maybe should have had him talk about that.
We could have.
Yeah, wicked run for him.
I feel like we've talked to him.
Wicked run for him.
We kind of recapped his modified stuff in the past when we had him on.
We did
last fall.
We did.
So
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, we just had him on in October. That's why.
Maybe if he breaks into the win
still,
column.
he was the story. But it's hard to say he was totally the story because Rousey got his first win of the year too.
Yeah.
But it was super cool to see Sharpie in the top 5. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, and Rouse did a great job. Like I think Fairway was good early, if I remember correctly.
Fairway was second as well. We didn't even talk about him.
Well, finally, Daryl.
Is that his best run of the year?
I would say so. He's kind of just been snake bit where he'll get the track position. He'll start up towards the front and then he either gets caught up in a wreck or he has a restart that doesn't go his way. For one reason or another, Daryl's just hasn't quite been able to put together the win like he had last year in the Sportsman. But I would say that he's had a really solid year and he's definitely, I think he'll get his way into the APC Auto Parts Center victory lane at some point before the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, he could have won this one, except his car tried to launch into space down the backstretch. I don't know how many.
That's
people
what I read.
Yeah.
What was that?
So he was leading, and he just, whatever reason, he must have just got a ton of bite off the back, like out of 2. And once he hit the backstretch, both wheels, like I would say for most of the field, they were carrying the left front around the racetrack for most of the night. It was a pretty hammer down track, but it seemed like, and for whatever reason, just coming out of 2, he just full on wheelied. Like I have not seen a modified wheelie as aggressively as Fairways did in quite a long time. And obviously he had to kind of correct and catch it, lift out of it. And then that's kind of when Rouse really made up the distance and was able to kind of use his racecraft to get around him. But and the other thing that happened in that modified feature was I don't want to say bizarre incident, but it was kind of an off-putting incident between Fred Carlton and Scott Wood, where at the start of the race, Freddie just really wanted to get down to the inside line. He was starting 6th. Wood was on the inside in 5th, and he just pinched Wood down, expecting him to eventually let him in, and Wood never let him in, and then just give and take ran out, and they both kind of wadded up in the first corner.
I watched it, and it was a pretty good view from it. And you know that picture where they got like the 3 zones on that car where it's like inside car has position, and then the middle zone like uh even heads up. They were almost like in that gray area there,
Yeah.
where like Freddie kind of. And it's just 2 old veterans. They're both not going to give.
Yeah.
They've been racing against each other since I was born.
I would say Freddie got the jump on Woodsy, and then I think he really thought he could clear down and just Wood put the power down and didn't lift and didn't let him in, and yeah, they watered it up. The other thing
Woody's not going to lift.
you might have seen is you might have seen 2 Gordons in the field in the modifieds. We should talk about Flash Gordon. Doug Gordon gets back in a race car, ends up finishing 9th, beating son Todd. Todd ended up 11th. So pretty impressive stuff from Flash.
With the top.
I know,
10.
right? And they both spun. They spun together actually. And
I saw that picture, and I'm not gonna lie, it made me chuckle. Sorry, boys, I love this.
Yeah, it was a pretty entertaining moment to see them both spun out like that. But either way, I've heard whispers of more than a few drivers getting in that second 28 car, and it's a good piece.
Well, it was supposed to be Billy Bleach on Monday. I think they traded rides.
Yeah. Yeah,
but then rain ruined that one.
Yeah, they were traded on Sunday at Humberstone. There was a second 108 on the racetrack for Dougie.
Yeah. No, for Todd.
Or sorry, yes, for Todd. That is correct. Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking of Dougie because Dougie won on Sunday, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. In the Rona Doige Mod Lights, Brent Bigelow back in victory lane over Josh Slider, Tyler Winger, Joe Isabel, and Sean F. Toddy. Got to talk about the car count of the Mod Light class.
That's a good topic.
23 cars making the call, including, I'm assuming a bunch of these guys are from Brewerton, like John Isabel's Brewerton, Justin Williams out of Brewerton.
Those guys used to come down a lot more.
Yeah.
Back in like the mid 2000s, there used to be a lot more Brewerton cars showing up.
Joe Isabel and Tucker Halliday, one of the other invaders, you'll call them, if you will, to the Mod
Joe
Lights.
Isabel, there's a name.
Yeah, well,
because he like owned a whole Super Dirt Car Series team for a long time, like, and the Doctor drove for him, and they've been in the Mod Lights forever. Yeah.
Well, that 6J was a strong ride all weekend long. Joe had
and they didn't
showed
win.
up, but yes, came up a little bit short. So, but either way, so great to see the health of this class. And I know I've already skipped over one, but I'm going to save that for a second because I have to kind of nerd out over it. But let's jump right to the 4 cylinders now. Van Sickle Pet Value, PV on the lane, 4 cylinders. We talked a lot about Alex Riley, and he's been hot all season long. Kind of one of the more dangerous.
He won Merrittville too.
No, it was Austin Worstrow going back to back. So suddenly Austin Worstrow is starting to really click off some wins. He gets the win over Tyler LaFontaine, Cole Hardy, Alex Riley, and Mason Anderson. Another great run for the 4 car of Mason Anderson.
Yeah, so Worstrow, I've seen him race. Another one I've seen race a long time. Started in the karts back when I was tech guy. So
yeah,
I love when those guys win.
The folks from Van Sickle Pet Value and PV on the Lane aren't just fans of your favorite 4-legged friends, they are race fans too. That's why Jeff and Rhonda Riley, as well as their staff, have teamed up with Merrittville Speedway to make your race day experience more convenient. Race fans can now pick up tickets for race nights while grabbing the highest quality food, treats, toys, and accessories for their pets from the St. Catharines and Niagara Falls locations. Each grandstand ticket will also have a voucher that can be used in-store for a free pet bath at their dog wash stations. Drivers and crew members can also skip the line by purchasing pit passes in-store, giving them more time to get their rides ready for Saturday nights. Check out Van Sickle Pet Value across from Best Buy and Walmart on 4th Avenue in St. Catharines, and PV on the Lane at the corner of Kaler Road and Lundy's Lane, Highway 20. Yeah, Austin Worstrow, we haven't really talked much about points on the show this year, but he's one guy in his victory lane speech. He actually referenced the point standings and the fact that because he beat Hardy by a couple spots, he's closing up the gap on him. So don't tell these guys that the points championship doesn't matter at the end of the year, and the track championships don't mean anything, because these guys are definitely
Some guys love points, some guys hate points.
Some guys are definitely paying attention, that's for sure. And it always helps if you're at the front of the field. Now, from Saturday night, this was the race of the night. This was maybe the race of the year. I can't even begin to describe how good of a Hoosier stock feature that we got, and it is an absolute crime. It is a shame that there is no proper video documentation. No offense to Joe Obertine and his drone videos.
No proper video.
No.
Jonathan.
I know. Joe does a great job with the drone shots, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But this would have been such a great one to have a rooftop camera for, and coverage like G-Force can give you from like Ohsweken. to have that at Merrittville would have been so nice for this race because it was a dandy. Jim Lampman wins it over Dave Bailey, Pete Reed, and Ryan Dinning. I mentioned those 4 guys. They spent pretty much the last 20, well, I guess it was a 20 lap feature, last 15 laps together under a blanket, maybe the last 12 laps together under a blanket, trying to sort out who was going to win that. Dinning was out front for a while. Then Bailey got up there and was challenging him. Then Pete Reed came into the picture. Jim Lampman was up there initially. Then he fell back a bit. Then he rallied back when the other 3 were battling. It was, Travis, I have called, I don't know, at least probably 100 races by now in my career. I cannot think of a better race that I have watched where I was like, I just want to be a fan of this. So, like I say, we don't have like the full on G-Force Light production, but when Joe Obertine puts this video up, I'm telling you, it is.
I think it's up. I meant to go watch it.
I don't know if it's up. Let's see. I mean, he usually is on it, so usually he has all the features up by the end of the
Well, I
week.
watched the modified thing between Woody and Carlton. That's the only reason I watched it. See that.
So let me see. I'm gonna do some live YouTubing here while we're talking. But I'm telling you, man, this was it was just a banger of a race. Like I don't have any other way I can say this. It was just so awesome to watch.
The only thing I can say about those 3, all the guys you mentioned in the race, though, there's about 500 years of street stock experience between all those guys.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like it pays off, right? There's a ton of experience, and it really showed.
Was Beagle not there?
No, Beagle was not there. He was going to come out to the Monday show, and then he ended up not coming out to that one. But let's see. I'm looking at the videos. I see a Sportsman. I see 2 mini stocks. I see a Mod Light. I see a 358. Who's your stock? I think this is the feature here. Oh, yeah. This is the feature is up right now. That's awesome to see. Go and watch it. If you want to find Joe's channel, just type in Joe, Joe.
Was it a last lap pass or something?
No,
just because they were all under a blanket?
It was just because it was under a blanket, and you really like. I spent 10 laps not knowing who was going to win, and then Jim Lamon.
Because I feel like I've seen street stocks like that before races.
You probably have, and maybe like I'm just being a bit dramatic about it, but like I'm gonna skip ahead to.
You're not the only one I saw say it was a really good race.
Like I'm skipping ahead to the I don't know. I'm 3 minutes into the video. It's an 8-minute video, and Donnie Lampman's leading right now. They're 3 wide for the lead. Dinning's in the middle. Reed, like they were 3 wide with Donnie on the outside. Jim was lurking there. Bailey was coming through the field. Like you really just didn't know who was going to end up winning the race the whole time. It was just fantastic stuff.
That's the street stocks these days.
It's
because the handicapping is a great thing too, and puts on races like that because the fast guys got to come from the back.
Yeah, I think I don't know, man. I'm gonna see. I might start talking with Joe. We talked about a little bit about maybe if we can record my broadcast, and that takes a little extra equipment that I have to bring to the racetrack. So I'm gonna maybe work on if there's a way that I can kind of almost add a call to it after the fact. Which I mean, it's never as good as when you get the live feed.
You're gonna recall it Speed TV style?
I might just do that, buddy. I don't know.
Oh my.
I might just have to. I don't know.
I'm going to call you. Who used to do that? Because that's how they used to do, like, for Speed TV, the 200 at Syracuse was always, like, watching the TV after
they wouldn't grab the actual thing.
Shane Andrews, Tommy Baldwin one year doing it that style.
Yeah. Wasn't, is it Matt Dillno?
But, like, the interviews would have been live. Like, one year Clint did the interviews, so, like, all his interviews were live at the track. But then the commentary was them two in the booth rewatching the.
Wasn't Matt Dillner one of the voices in the one year? Was that it?
Maybe.
Marty
Sounds
Dillner?
about right.
Matt Dillner? I can't remember which Dillner it is. Might have been Marty. I don't remember. Either way, I will have to get the Humberstone results up. But yeah, just go back and watch. Like if you're missing out on content, again, the drone shots are great. They're not quite the same as what you might see from G-Force because it is a stationary shot, but it does the trick. It definitely, going back and watching that video quick, it actually does tell the story pretty good. And if you haven't watched that feature, go and watch it. And the other thing too that's kind of nice, I will say about the way Joe shoots it, is it's all individual races. Like as much as I love the G-Force broadcasts, they're 3-hour videos. Sometimes you just want to skip ahead and you want to.
Yeah, but you can skip ahead then. There's the technology. You just watch what's on the screen. When you're fast forwarding,
I know, but then I could click on the individual race.
I just taught my mom how to do that.
Well, apparently now you need to teach me. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Either way, let's get into the results from Humberstone, where we had a 6 feature night and everything got in okay except for 6 laps of the Sportsman. And Travis, I now understand that video from Ransomville a couple years ago where it rained, because when it rained at the end of the
Worst
Sportsman, I
worst night at the races I've ever had.
I swear I thought we were going to get the same thing, except they were all going to fly off and drive out towards Highway 3. Like it was pretty wild how all of a sudden it just came
Humberstone
downpouring.
would be a better because they would just all blow off the top, right?
Exactly. And that's kind of what almost
Ransomville's bad
happened.
because there's that wall there.
Yes.
Yeah, they would just end up in the trees in 1 and 2.
Yes, exactly.
But it wouldn't have been.
It was
But yeah, that's the world's worst in dirt because like the dirt track turns to ice, and if they get those big drops, even if it's a downpour for a minute, the track will be wiped. Like can't even
that's
walk.
literally what happened. I couldn't have like explained it better than that. That's exactly what happened, man. Like,
Is that the first time you've ever experienced something like that at the
we
dirt
had
track?
rain
Must
for a
be.
Hoosier Stock event at Merrittville. I want to say last year. It might have been the might have been the
Yeah, I
might have been
remember
the
hearing.
Canadian Grand Nationals last year that got rain shortened. I feel like we just got to the
I
Hoosier
think you're
Stocks
right.
in last year, and then we had to do a double feature for Sportsmen and Modifieds the week after, or we brought the Modifieds in because they were going to be a week or
I think
something
you're right.
off, or have the week off. But either way, yeah, it was. It was. I've never seen it rain that hard to the point where like if we didn't throw the caution immediately, we were going to start piling guys up. So rain shortened feature win for James Friesen. He gets it done over Brad Rouse, Nelson Mason, Cody McPherson, and Taylor Vanderzan in your top 5 from Humberstone on this Sunday.
Funny story about
Mm-hmm.
that. I was just saying to Diablo at work because, as you know, Diablo used to be a JMF crew boy. But anyway, I was just saying how like JMF and Kurt had the same amount of wins this year,
Yep.
right? Because I think they only had one. So it's almost like James heard me and then had to make it 2-1 this
Well,
Sunday.
yeah, he definitely looks strong again at Humberstone. I feel like I don't know, when I think of James, like I definitely see the Merrittville. He's always strong at Merrittville because he can run the top really well there. But for whatever reason, whenever I watch him at Humberstone, he just seems like he's got a handle on that track better than almost anybody else. I don't know what it is about that.
I believe he has a lot of his 358 wins are there. I think he's got 4 modified wins there. And then you're right. I've seen JMF. Here's a good JMF story in Humberstone. So back like early 2010s, like in that 2012 era. Anyway, he used to race everywhere. Like he was always on the road. And one night he went all the way down to Weedsport on a Sunday because they would run like a little bit of an earlier show, an early start time. So he raced there and then towed all the way back to Humberstone. They didn't have enough cars, so they were going to let him tag the tail. They literally got there just as the sportsmen were rolling on the track. Like literally stopped the truck and trailer in between the pits and the pit gate there in the off turn 1, unloaded it right there. He drove on the track, but then in that race he ended up getting in a wreck and he like climbed over the infield wall and like was in the infield. Yeah, so didn't have it quite hooked up that night, but I've seen JMF win a ton of races, sportsman and modified, at Humberstone. You were right. That was a wicked story that night, JMF. That was one of the years where I think only said he won 13 races that year.
I feel like he told us about that one.
It was at a lot of different tracks.
Tell us about that one on the show.
Yeah, that year he won at Weedsport, Rolling Wheels. Yeah, he talked about that season. I think he was underestimating his wins that year though, because he said 13 or 14. I thought it was a little bit more, but.
Well, Humberstone, like I said, rolled on. We got everything else in for its full distance, including the 30-lap Creighton late model event. David Pangrazio gets the win out of Elbin, New York over Kyle Sopez, Rob Lettingham, Zach Carley, and Austin King. And one name missing from the top of that, Charlie Sandercock. He had a rough night. He was bad fast, but on, I think, like lap 3 or maybe the third restart of the race, because we had a really hard time getting those guys going. They had a lot of cautions right off the hop and ended up going single file restarts within.
Those guys put a lot of heat on the sprint cars because they got no. I see a lot of late model guys throwing heat on sprint cars. I'm saying your guys sometimes is a bit of a wreck fest too.
I would say so, especially at Humberstone.
I've seen quite a few late model wreck.
I don't know what it is. That track,
sorry guys,
they're just cursed there. They always seem to run long. Either way, it was a good race once they got going, I guess. Pangrazio was dominant. Like, he just was bad fast. Like I say, Sandercock, a rare mistake, hit the outside retaining wall on a restart. Unforced error. I just seemed like he kind of drove up and crashed into it.
It's kind of easy to do at Humberstone. That comes up if you're running the high side. That wall out of 4
But on
comes
a
up in a
restart,
hurry.
like coming
It
to
goes no.
green, like you just took the green out of 4
Yeah.
and you drove into the wall.
Sounds like he was trying to get a run, get up in the cushion, because I'm sure there was one.
That probably 100%
There
what he
always
was
is
trying
in
to
3 and
do.
4
So
there. He was trying to get into that instead of because if you had to fire on a lot of times, even if the outside's better because of the cushion, a lot of times on the restart it's not because you have to fire in the middle where it's all dirty and stuff. So he was trying to get a little better, and then the guy on the bottom, there's usually a little bit of stuff to get. So that's why a lot of times, like on the Outlaws, you see it a lot because they have double file restarts. Where even if the guy's running the top on the restart, he'll take the bottom so he can get the good run, and then like by 1 and 2, he's got such a better start than the guy running the outside that he can cross over and get the top.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how that happens.
Yeah,
probably.
the like I say, it was still a decent race, and it was good to see the late models. But Pangrazio really he had the field covered. It wasn't even close, man. He could put that car wherever he needed to drive off on a restart and get away from them.
Yeah, I was pumped to see a different.
Yeah, it was nice to see. Dave Bailey gets the win on Sunday night in the street stocks, winning it over Jonah Mutton, Pete Reed, Tyler French, Ryan Beagle. Whole race almost went green flag, almost all 25 laps. I think we had a caution with 1 or 2 to go. Set up a restart at the end. Jonah Mutton really gave Bailey a good run for his money and a clean run at that. There was definitely some a bump and run or 2 attempted. Definitely the chrome horn was in effect for Jonah Mutton, but just never could quite hit him hard enough to root Bailey out of the way.
Stanley Jonah Mutton. That's what he's on Facebook anyway.
Well, he races under Jonah.
Yeah, he's my boy. He's my buddy at Brighton.
Yeah.
He was in the Mario Baptiste street stock. He just took it over that night. That was his first.
I was going to say, because.
And that car won.
Thank you.
Hanley
That's what I was thinking. I was like, was that not Craig Hanley in that car for a while there?
Yeah. Jonah, like he had been running crate sprint, but I think he had a bad wreck last year, and he's also run like Canadian mods at Brighton, and that was his first running that hot rod. And that's a fast hot rod.
So Ryan Beagle ended up 5th.
Todd Gordon built
too. We should point out the big dog. So Bailey, Mutton, Pete Reed, Tyler French, and Beagle, your top 5 in the street stocks in that one. Beags keep showing up. I will point out that Beagle went 15th to 5th too, so he had the tough draw, but Bailey had a great job. Bailey started on the outside of the front row, and Mutton was on the pole. So top 2 guys ended up finishing top 2 at Humberstone. It's definitely a track position night for Humberstone Speedway, as it kind of usually is. The passing is at a premium at that place right now, at least. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products. The last 40 years plus have seen Bicknell Racing Products grow to be an industry leader for racers and enthusiasts alike. Their St. Catharines location is home to 20,000 square feet of manufacturing and retail space, with a second store in Niagara Falls, New York, and a dealer network that continues to grow day by day to serve Southern Ontario, Western New York, and beyond. Bicknell Racing Products distributes Hoosier tires for much of Eastern Canada, New York, and even parts of Pennsylvania. BRP has everything you could need to keep your car performing at its peak, with genuine parts from the manufacturer. They even have a technical support line committed to helping you with the most up-to-date information and feedback from racers and crew chiefs. Have you ever thought about a career in the automotive or racing industry? Now is your chance to take the leap with Bicknell Racing Products. They are looking for CNC machine operators, welders, and more to join their team this season. Please send all resumes to Dana Curving at BicknellRacingProducts.com. That's DANA CURVIN at BicknellRacingProducts.com. For further information on Bicknell Racing Products and to find a dealer near you, visit BRP online at www.BicknellRacingProducts.com or on Facebook or at twitter.com/BicknellRacing.
Yeah, Merrittville does seem to open itself up for more passing if we're going to be out. I've made some runs through the field on Humberstone.
Just so far this year in the 3 race nights that we had, the inside, I wouldn't say the inside was as dominant this time, but it was definitely harder to run side by side.
It's a lot harder to rail in your track conditions when you only race a few times.
Right? That's the hardest thing. I mean, like, it took 4 weeks for Ohsweken to get it together, but after a month of you guys running it, pounding it into the ground, it all kind of came together, right? So over in the mod lights, Tyler Winger gets the win, steals one late. A win late. Justin Williams dominated the 20-lap feature until a late caution, and Winger gets him on a restart. So Tyler Winger wins it over Justin Williams. Joe Isabel third, Brent Bigelow fourth, and Randy Giroux back racing in the Niagara region brings it home with the top 5.
Yeah, nice. So Bruchen guys up front, but Tyler Winger made it so they had to go home
Yep.
empty-handed.
Yeah, way to steal one back for the local guys. Vintage cars are at the racetrack as well. Doug Flash Gordon, almost an inverse actually of the top 2 from last time the vintage cars ran at Humberstone, where Dave Small beat Doug Gordon. This time it's Doug Gordon beating Dave Small, Mark Shadwell, Tim Natalino, and Tim Harris, your top 5 in that one. Good to see Dougie get out there and get a win. The guy can still wheel for sure.
I agree. I love Dougie. That's it. Yeah, he won at Humberstone last year. The car this year looks insanely good.
Yeah,
that number 9
I think it's the Kirkland Racing entry, if I've got it right, or Kirk. Yeah, I think Kirkland on the side of that. Apologies, Kendrick. Jeez, I was close. I'm thinking of Costco brands apparently.
Kendrick's the name of or Kirkland's the name of the people that own Brockville too. So
yeah, that's probably it. Well. That's probably a part of it too. Especially because I just came back from there last week. Still got it on my brain.
Exactly.
One more to round out from the local action here. Let's get into the dirt mini stocks. Tyler LaFontaine gets the win over Sean Cuse. Olivier Larocque, Dylan Lord, and Rick Beals, your top 5 in that one. Yeah.
Rick Beals.
He's been racing all year long, buddy. He took over. I want to say, I don't know. I have to ask Leroy or Rick the full connection, but I'm pretty sure the car that he is piloting these days is Leroy Buscombe's old 4-cylinder. And I think Beals had it out a couple times, if I'm not mistaken, last year. I don't think he ran a full schedule with it last year. I think him and
I remember Rick Beals as street stock at Humberstone, nice. 117 Monte Carlo. When I used to go there every week to watch. When I was super pumped up.
I want to say that he's been splitting that car, or split the car last year with Leroy a couple times. While Leroy was getting the Mod Light program off the ground, and now I think Leroy's full on in the Mod Lights, and Rick has taken over the mini stock for this full season, if I'm not mistaken. Those cars are painted the same anyway, so that's why I think they're at least team cars of some kind or another. So. And that's your local race recap. That covers everything. We got rained out on Monday at Merrittville, so no official word yet on what's going to happen with the Barron Roofing Canadian Grand Nationals. I hesitantly say that we might make up those features at another point, because it was supposed to be a 72-lap, 4,000 to win race for the mods, and of course there was also
that's too many laps. Make it 50. Is it because there's 72 years in Merrittville?
Yeah. Dirt Car Sportsman were supposed to be.
It's a lot of
Dirt Car Sportsman was going to be a $2,000 race. Was going to be $2,000 for the Hoosier Stocks as well, and $1,000 for the Mod Lights and the 4-cylinders, plus $1,000 cash giveaway and 1,000 pieces of candy. So I would assume there's going to be some news about when or how that's all going to be made up coming. I haven't heard official word yet, but.
All I know is I saw drivers on the internet.
Well, if it's going to be this Saturday, you won't be hearing me on the call. That's for sure, because I have a wedding and I'm going to be missing out on Merrittville this weekend. So it's going to be my pal there, William Morrison, probably either flying solo, or if we get rain, which could be possible, or there could be some possible rescheduling anyways, at Lancaster, Stephen Petty might come over the border and lend his vocal talents to Merrittville on Saturday in my place. So we'll see how exactly it plays out.
Jonathan asked me to do it, but I'm retired from announcing. I'm retired officially.
You are retired
for now.
You're retired. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm retired. This is my second retirement. I'm like Brett Favre. I'm sure I'll come out of it again eventually.
You're going to unretire next year. I can already feel it.
No, but from announcing, definitely not. I can guarantee you, as long as I'm a race car driver,
really?
I will not be an
You
announcer.
can't do both at the same time, eh?
Nope. Okay. Need 100% focus. And then, like, most of the times I was dragging myself to Humberstone. Like, I'd be getting done washing my car or something from a Saturday night race, and I'd be dragging myself there. So.
All right. That's fair.
No, I'm not.
I'll give you that one. That's fine. I'm perfectly fine flying solo on Sunday nights at Humberstone when they need me. And then, so we'll see. We'll see how it plays out on Saturday. We'll see what the weather, if that cooperates with us too. So, because out of nowhere, it's like we're living in Florida. We keep getting these pop-up showers that last That's
the whole thing, though. It's always just a little thing. So as long as As long as it's not the end of the night, like you saw at Humberstone. If it's early in the night, like 5
Yep.
o'clock, you can get past those
Yeah.
ones.
So
As long as it doesn't happen when the track's packed in feature tight, super slick, then it'll turn into ice quick. But you can usually
yeah.
beat those pop-up
So
showers.
we'll see how it plays out. We've got another big event coming up on the calendar, which is the NASCAR stop. Well, yeah. Well,
Whole
actually,
bunch,
okay. Let's
really.
save.
Not
I
even
was gonna
that.
say
There's first Friday.
we
We got to
cut and
race
we got to
tomorrow
recap
first.
last week too. Actually, we should say 360 Nationals, buddy. We got to dive into those because there was a pretty big. I don't want to say controversy, but we had some
Okay, let's do that
news that
first.
you wanted to break down about a DQ and just run us through your vantage point of the 360 Nats.
Well, first, we'll just touch on the local people that were down there. Ryan Turner did the best. He was,
Mm-hmm.
I think, 19th in the C main, and everybody else was in the D main. So, like, that was all Liam Martin. Liam, I think he won the E main. I did see that. He won the E main, got to the D, something like that. And then, so he won one race. I know that for sure. And then Sean Evans was in there, and Alex Hill, they were all in the D. But the main thing was the first qualifying night. So, like, the intake port on the so ASCS, we have like a spec head we have to run, and both intake ports, both ports, intake and exhaust, have an ASCS logo on both sides of the port, roof and bottom, top. Anyway, so like the rule is now on the intake ports. It used to be you're not allowed to port at all, but then they opened it up because people were porting with acid, and you can make it look like nothing's happened. There's lots of funky stuff to do to make it look. So that was going on for a long time. So they opened up the rules, so you can port. It's not recommended, is the way they word it. They word it horribly. It's the world's worst worded rule in racing, in my opinion. And basically, it says you can port and polish. They don't recommend it, but as long as you don't touch the logo. But and then another part in the rule, it says sometimes during porting, the edges of the letters are brushed or like nicked, which is true. I have a set here where a letter is a little bit brushed, just a tiniest little bit, like not deforming the logo. So then there's a rule a bit down there which has to say the logo has to be completely intact. So like they almost contradict themselves in the rule. But so it's basically a judgment call. And Scott Bugacki got bounced for apparently the logo was touched too much, which at that point, there's a big sprint car engine technology group. I want to see pictures of the port. I want to see like if it was mowed down murderously or if it was just a guy picking on someone because like a letter was scrubbed a little bit. Because if it was just a letter scrubbed a little bit, like I guarantee you're going to have to throw out the entire pits, like at every 360 speedway everywhere. But if the one time like last year an engine builder put up they're trying to show off and they put up a picture of an ASCS intake port that they just unported, and they had mowed the letters off pretty bad. And like I even made a comment on that one. That's why I want to see a picture of the port. They should put out a picture so we can see, because the rule is so vague. But anyway, that was the main story there. Other than Brian Brown winning, local boy, and it was like a photo finish over Aaron Reitzel, 0.02 seconds.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was and that was going around too. That's why I was kind of tweeting on Saturday night. Like I know the 360 finish was great.
Yeah, there was all big,
we had
all
great
good
finishes
finishes
at Merrittville, and then on the national stage, you get great finish in the 360 Nats. That's awesome.
And the Outlaws that night, Logan Schuhart and Kyle Larson.
Yep.
Same thing, last lap. Logan got him on the last lap, and then the last corner, last lap, he tried to block the slider, but he didn't go low enough, and Larson slid him for the win. So, so many good finishes on Saturday. Every race I watched Saturday was good.
It's a good time to be a dirt fan. And, of course, it is the Knoxville Nats for the 410s this week. How are we handicapping that? Who do we... I mean, Larson probably the favorite. Is that where we're going?
Well, he's definitely in the running. Like I would have said David Gravel's the favorite, and he was on his way to backing that up last night. He was quick time, but then in his heat race, he wrecked. And that's just the way Knoxville National is. And so he's going to have to run tomorrow night. And Larson goes tonight. I'm just watching that. He just timed in 9th on Thursday. So he's got a pretty good time trial lap. Basically, if Larson's going to top 10 tonight, he'll be locked into the show on Saturday because the time trial lap means a lot in this format. But then they invert 8 cars for the heat, so you got to do some wheeling. But that's why they make the time trial lap mean so much, so people don't sandbag like the Kings Royal. Remember we went through that. And then, so yeah, so there's no sandbagging at the Knoxville Nationals because your time trial that means so much. So yeah, it's Larson, Abreu, Sweet, Macedo, Schuhart, so many people. There's a lot. All the usual suspects are in it for the win this year. I would have said Gravel, but now he's going to be coming
Definitely
from the
gonna
back. So
be tough.
if he gets in, which I think he will on
I
Friday,
feel
because
like
the
there's gonna
top
be
four
some
on Friday
guys. I feel
transfer.
like there's guys
Knoxville,
guys gonna
hard
be
knocks
looking for
night.
redemption from a couple weeks back with the Eldora Million, right? So I feel like I don't know, man. I don't know where I'm feeling it, and I know probably shouldn't call it. I guess I shouldn't call it the Eldora Million, but
This this purse for the Knoxville Nationals is pretty much the exact same as
yeah,
the Eldora Million. They just spread it out way better, TC style. 175,000 to win, 15,000 just to start the A main, $500 just to show up for the week. Fifth place in the E main on Saturday pays $1,000. The B main pays big money. Like the P main pays like a normal feature everywhere else. Money's definitely
which is
spread
good to
out at the
see.
Knoxville
That's
Nationals, which I
yes,
TC loves to see,
that
as we
is
all
your
know.
go-to.
I'm sure everyone's sick of me hearing it,
And
but I
yeah,
don't
so
care.
you can check out the Knoxville Nationals this weekend. Friday, we've got racing from Ohsweken to get into. Um, where you've kind of taken the month off just to kind of reset the program, get things sorted, and
3 weeks, yeah.
I
But
was
now
gonna
we
say you're
got
ready
four
for the
races in
haul.
8 days.
Yeah,
So ready. This is like, yeah, feels more like the COVID year where we would take a week or two off and then race our butts off for a week. And I'm about to do it. Ohsweken Friday, Ohsweken Monday, Ohsweken Tuesday,
and that's what you prefer at
Brinsville
the end of the day
Friday.
too, right? You prefer a schedule almost closer to what we had during the pandemic.
I just, yeah. Well, it's just, yeah. There's a couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks you can recharge a little bit. But if I'm rolling good, I want to race every week, 2 times a week. That's the way everyone
That's
goes.
true.
If you're on a roll, you want to race every night. But if you're rolling eighth or ninth, sometimes you want to take a night because some guys are happy finishing eighth to ninth. That's not TC. TC wants to be up front. I was just talking to Jamie Turner about all that tonight.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to pick up the fuel, about how like back in the day in the heat race when I drove the 71 car, I always felt like I was catching the guy in the heat race no matter what. Like I used to hope I drew bad in the heat race because there was
Mm-hmm.
passing points so I could pass cars. Now that's my only thing. I got to get better in the heats because I'm always got it dialed in for the feature. I've passed a ton of cars this year in features, but it's the heats I got to work on. If I can get a good heat and get in the redraw, I think I can definitely get in the. I want to get an interview. That's all I want.
I
At
think it
Ohsweken
could
this
be
year.
on
I
the
just want to get an
horizon,
interview.
and why not?
Top three. I'll take it.
I mean, Friday's a
I
good
think
night
so.
because
Maybe
you're going to have the Race of Champions Sportsman Shootout. So the Sportsmen are going to be joining on Friday night at Ohsweken.
that's yeah. One thing I just hope they don't make the whole worse in turn 1 and 2. Sometimes the late model or a sportsman can like one year the World of LL late models came to Ohsweken and they chopped the track up pretty bad. So hopefully they got that hole in turn 1 fixed because apparently last week
Well,
it had gotten a bit worse. And the sportsmen's won't handle that very well.
and I
For
feel like
sure
the
if there's a
Pinty
huge
cars are
hole
going to
there.
handle it even worse, right? And they're there Monday and Tuesday.
The Pinty's cars, correct, but they last
Mm-hmm.
year they didn't really touch the bottom. The only person really was Jake Sheridan, and he wouldn't even go down all the way to the bottom. He'd kind of go into the middle and then try to slide up. He was one of the only guys passing cars last year. Is that if I remember?
Mm-hmm.
So he went 10th or
And
third. There was a last lap pass. Stuart Friesen says he'll get Trayton back this year if he has a
I
shot.
I
said
like
that
the
on Clint's
chances of
show.
that happening because Trayton has been bad fast all season long. He has definitely been the dominant car this year. I think I could be wrong on this, but I feel like it's just between him and Cameron that have wins this year in the Pinty series. That's a lie. No, Tagliani got
Sounds about
the
right.
Toronto GP. So Alex Tagliani also got a win on the schedule this
Yep.
year. But 2 races on Monday and Tuesday of next week, August 14th and 15th from Ohsweken Speedway, the NASCAR Pinty Series, Canada's NASCAR Series, racing on the dirt for the Freshstone Dirt Classic and the Pinty's 100. Those 2 races, you can buy tickets now through nascar.ca/schedule or by visiting Ohsweken Speedway. I'm looking things over right now, and I'm not 100% sure. But I think I may have missed the boat on camping here. I think the camping is already sold out for the NASCAR Pinty series. I think so.
No.
I'm looking at the events
My
right now, and
registered
the
the
only
other
it
night.
says camping NASCAR Pinty Series, but then it says August 10th and ends August 11th. So we'll have to clarify that and make sure that otherwise I'm going to be crashing. I'll be crashing
We'll
in
get
your
you in.
trailers, but I'll sleep in the seat of the sprint car or something. Perfect.
You can
All right,
just
there we
pitch
go.
the tent right
We'll
next
make
to it.
something happen either way, one way or another.
Yeah.
Either way, looking forward to it.
Don't look at that,
Wow.
Clint. Sorry,
Yeah.
bud.
We'll be fine. We'll figure it
Gotta
out.
get Johnny in.
Either way, though, you should definitely make your way down to Ohsweken Speedway for a Monday, Tuesday show. I
There'll be a ton
love
of
the Pinty
people there.
series. I know you're not the biggest fan of it, but I'm a big fan of it, and I think it's going to be good. And it's going to be good to
It's
see you guys open the
fine.
show up and act as the opening act for the show.
They're working for 25 grand. And like I saw internet people talking about how Humberstone didn't get a full field for $3,000 early in the year with the SOS tour. But like they're reaching for $25,000. I hope they get 24 cars. I know that for sure. And I kind of wish the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals paid $25,000. Because if we pay $25,000 at the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, do you imagine how many cars there'd be?
Yeah,
There'd be
for sure.
Close to 100. There'd at least be old Nationals numbers.
That would
Let's
definitely
say
get
that.
them out.
1,000%. This year we're going to get close back.
Like we're just under a month away from those
Insane.
even now, and I'm getting pretty pumped up for that. That's the one thing about not having three of them this year is now I'm
$1,000 just to start that one.
Like because last year.
That's why I'm wondering how many 360s are coming from the States last year. Because last year there was only one CASCAR race. Like Monday was just a practice for them that paid $1,500. Still a pretty high paying practice session. But anyway, so like but we had our 1,000 to start, 10,000 to win on the Monday. Whereas this year it's just 5,000 to win, 300 to start, and then there's extra money in all the positions because that's normal, bigger to start than normal night and all that stuff. But yeah, it's just not quite the price as last year. So I wonder. I'm sure they'll still be coming. Like Barney will probably show up.
I would say
There'll
so.
still be a few Americans, I'm sure of it.
I'm just looking over the entry list
How many?
now for Ohsweken on the dirt for the Pinty series. Couple of names that are going to be kind of note for dirt fans. Obviously, Glenn Stiers, who's been running most of the calendar in the 0 car, is going to be racing in this one and should be fairly strong. Yeah. Ken Schrader is going to be running in the 3 car for Ed Hawkinson. And gonna have Jason Hathaway as his crew chief too, so he's gonna have somebody who knows how to turn the wrenches. I'm reading it right now on the entry list. See it up on Facebook. Wesley, shout out to Wesley Shaw. Great fan of motorsport in general, and he is always on top of it. But I think you can see it actually online. You can actually see it, I think, online as well. If you go to, it doesn't have it listed yet officially, but you can find the entry list on NASCAR's website as well. I'm just looking over it through Facebook though right now. Couple other names of note: Rafael Lassard, who's been running most of the season, former NASCAR Truck Series driver, and Stuart Friesen coming down back with us. We already mentioned him. Also a truck winner.
Also a truck winner.
Scott Steckley in the 22. That's what they have. I don't think so.
No, you're reading last year's list, bro. Stuart Friesen is 1,000% not in the Scott Steckley 22.
Oh, you are right.
In the GSR number 19, driven by
prepared
by Whitey.
I did get tricked.
A gap on his first name, David White. Yeah, you're reading the line list. You silly boy.
I know, but I thought when I typed in Ohsweken entry and Wesley just posted, I thought I would be reading an August post from. Yeah. Well, now I feel silly. This is why you always got to check your dates on Facebook. Well, what list do you have?
Want me to read the list? Number 0, Glenn Stiers. Number 1, JP Bergeron. Number 3, Alex Gannett. Number 4, Trevor Monahan, former Cunningham Racing Engines customer back in his super late model and Challenger days. Number 9, Brandon Watson, big time APC, former star. Now he's just running the Pinty series this year. He's good on the short tracks and ovals, so he could be one to watch. DJ Kennington, he's been racing in the CASCAR series, now Pinty series, since I was literally an 8-year-old kid going to Cayuga to watch, and he was like a 17-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid in the CASCAR series back in that time. 18, Alex Tagliani. He was pole at Indy 500, right?
I think you got the right Canadian.
I think so too. and he's more of a, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if he's. I wouldn't call him a
I'm
favorite.
not gonna
Since he went
lie.
out the dirt stuff. He's a road course stringer,
Tag
and he can
was
win on pavement ovals.
he
But
was not bad last
he
year.
wasn't that great last year,
I
wasn't he?
think he was one of the cars that got mixed up.
He was sitting right in front of me watching the heats.
I think he
Oh,
got in a
you're
jingle,
right.
and I
He
don't
was
think
in
the
the
car was
he
the
was in
same
a
after that.
jingle.
But I thought he was one of the more consistent guys of the guys that I didn't expect to have a good year.
My favorite, Alex Tagley. Anything? Do you remember that Roman Grosjean
Yes.
crash where he stuck himself into the Armco barriers? Well, my thing about those Armco barriers is how the heck does a F1 track have Armco barriers, which are the most known unsafe thing to have as a wall ever, like that close to a track? And then Tags went on the Race Rivals show that week, and he said like exactly what I was
Just
saying.
doesn't
Like,
make
how is there
sense at all
Armcos that
anymore.
close to a track? So I remember
How is there no
it
safer
doesn't make
barriers in
sense. Like
Formula One
that
tracks?
wreck
That's
should
the
have
other
never
thing.
happened.
I never,
Although
right? Like,
in front of that, exactly, that would have not happened. But I still say that was one of the best.
yes,
Like Roman Grosjean
that's
wouldn't have got an
probably
IndyCar
true.
ride without that wreck. That's TC's
Yeah.
opinion because that blew him up popularity. Okay, next on the list, our boy Stuart Friesen in the 19. So it's GSR number 19, and then right behind him,
Yes.
number 20, Trayton Lapsevich, 1-2 from last year. Will there be contact the
Not
other
on the
way?
same team. One thing
We
to
will
point
see.
out: not on the same team this year.
22, Ken Schrader. They're not on the same team,
Yes.
but they're both sponsored by GSR.
Well, not totally, but yes.
Yeah. Ken Schrader. Well, no, that's the whole thing. I personally have this like, I don't know. I'm wondering if Glenn's going to switch teams in the cast car. I have this feeling because he's sponsoring that number 20 car now. And
Yeah,
that's
it's the
not a
22
Dave
racing
White
team,
car.
but
That's
they also
a
have
Steckley car.
Delta Bingo on board. They've got a couple.
So
they're actually a fairly
I'm
well-funded team. I feel like. I think they've got more than a few.
Yeah, I just thought it was a little strange.
Yeah. If you want more, by the way, if you want more
that's not on
great
your team.
Pinty's content, Racing It Out podcast featuring Todd Lewis and Caitlin Patrick, who is the social media coordinator for that one and digital content. I feel like she's got something else, digital content. Apologies, Caitlin, if I'm messing up your job title, but I feel like she's kind of the one who handles all the media side of things for the Pinty series. She's got a podcast with Todd Lewis. They're pretty good. And the shout out to the Stickers and Scuff guys as well. They do a great job covering the Pinty series. Keep going. Probably Ken Schrader because he's in the 22.
Where was I? Number 22, question mark.
But we should know that now as Ken Schrader.
So that will be the car that Stewie was in last year, but we're unsure of the number. Then Thomas Neveu in the 24. Andrew Ranger in the 27. He's had a horrible year. Yeah, did you see that? Like Lacroix made a post saying the 27
yeah, I mean,
breaks last week, and then he monster
technically
trucked
Andrew
him.
Ranger did break, but I mean that one wasn't his fault.
The boys on Race Rivals were showing Adam was pushing it the most. Showed in-car cameras saying that there was a brake failure in the 74, and you can see his leg go all the way to the floor. But I was wondering if he pushed the clutch in by mistake too, one or the other. Yeah, because there's definitely something went wrong there. He just didn't miss the corner that much, but that was crazy for him to make that post and then that happened the first lap. Was pretty intense. Yeah. So yeah, Ranger in the 27. Daniel Boys in the 31. Dave Bailey in the 36 in the Randy Slackdome 36. And Bob Slack says he's going to go up there and scale it with the boys on Sunday, so they're going to try to dial her in and hoping on a better run than last year, trying to get in the top 10. I think they were 12th last year, but they kept getting stuck on the bottom side of the restarts. Those guys, the one lane last year was so dominant at the top, it's almost like they should have went single file, but hopefully they can run a couple lanes this year.
Yep.
So where was I? That was Dave Bailey. LP Dumoulin, 47, former champion. Wallace Stacy. I was telling you this week of his dirt background. Like he owned a car back in the day for Alan Johnson on the Super Dirt Car Series Tour in the Bullies Truck Stop number 14. Then he raced dirt mods as well for a long time with his son Dexter as well. But like Wallace raced the dirt modifieds a lot more. Anyway, he's in the field in the 66. Kevin Lacroix, 74. I think he was fastest in the practice day last year or something. He was fast last year, but I forget what happened to him. And then 84, my buddy Larry Jackson. Good story about him. Like last year, Larry was dead set against the dirt race, like absolute horrible attitude about it when they first announced it. And then after he went there and realized that the dirt actually levels out the playing field from the super expensive cars out there and maybe some of the stuff that like his that's a little bit older, like it levels it right out. And now Larry has completely 110% switched his opinion on it. Now he loves the dirt races and he's actually asking for more. So there's a pretty good
Well, I
little
mean, he did get
reversal
more technically.
story
We got
for our boy
two.
Larry Jackson. And he's always jaw jacked the dirt. So his initial reaction kind of makes sense, but I love how we brought him around. Now he loves the dirt. Love you too, Larry. Number 92, Dexter Stacy Wallace's son. He's run a full Bush schedule before. And he's run dirt mods too. Yeah, he's got quite a little experience as well. That's one
Yeah.
thing. DJ Kennington. We never mentioned his cup starts and all that, and the Bush starts. He's done a ton of that stuff. But Dexter Stacy's done that well. He paid. I remember there was like when he did the full Xfinity tour. I remember people saying like he paid like $1 million for that.
Yeah.
Which
I
really, when you
mean,
think about it, ain't that for a full Xfinity?
it sounds expensive when you think about it, but it really isn't that crazy when you factor in. I think they race 34 times. Yeah. So
Yeah, they race quite a bit. The trucks is the one that don't race that much, not quite as much, but the
and
Xfinity's
my
right up there in numbers.
pal of mine from high school, Riley's working on
Right.
those cars for the Stacy boys. So we might have to maybe we'll catch up with him
Yeah.
at Ohsweken and
Right.
grab him for a quick interview on the show, and he can talk to us about running a power plant in one of those things for dirt compared to what they'd have to do for a road course or everything else.
I agree. That would be
cool. We'll make it happen.
I would love to talk to him about that. Okay, next. Also a winner on the tour this year. Also accused of having traction control because he won a race and tried to do a burnout and the car wouldn't do it, wouldn't even light the rear tires. 96, Marc-Antoine Cameron. He's fast. He was quick last year. I remember seeing him. He could definitely win the race.
So one name
He's
you
just a
haven't
good shoe all
listed
around,
that
it
I've
seems like.
seen heavily rumored at this point, David Hebert, who I just had a chance to watch in the big blocks, and it sounds like I don't have confirmation or I don't have any official reports on what car he's going to be driving, but it sounds like we could see David Hebert.
I didn't hear that at all, but if you did, and if it's true, that's definitely someone I would love to see give this a whirl.
I think more big block guys would
Another
really
one would be
play
like
into that well. Like, wouldn't I feel like we did this last year, but like, wouldn't it be great to see Matty in one of those? Matt Shepard would kick butt in one of those cars, I think.
Yeah. The problem is there, like how much it is for for them people to rent that stuff. It ain't cheap. That's the main thing. Okay, 2 more people left. 98, Malcolm Strahan. I think that's how I say it. I'm not gonna lie, Malcolm. I don't know too much about you. I think that's a Jim Bray car, though. That's about all I know about that one. And then finally, last one on the list, but one of the number one guys in my heart's on this list, number 99, Aaron Turkey. It's extra because he rents the car from my other buddy, Larry Jackson. So, yeah, cool to see my one buddy rent from another one, and cool to see Aaron get another shot at it. He was a street stock guy at Ohsweken, ran it last year. Definitely didn't get the results he wanted, but he did win the $1,500 in the quick time. They had juiced tires. I know that now. We can say it.
Yeah.
But you were allowed to juice them that night. But that was the thing. It was a no holds barred practice session for $1,500. I thought that was pretty cool last year because they were all siping and grooving tires and stuff. I thought it was pretty neat. But but that doesn't matter because this year they're racing for $23,500 more on the Monday. So can our boy Aaron Turkey get it? I'd love to see him just get a top 10 to start with, but get that thing dialed in.
That's the beauty of this setup is because you have 2 races. Whatever you learn on night 1, you can really thrash and get something completely different and get more, hopefully more performance on the second night. So having 2 dirt races on the schedule is going to provide a unique opportunity, or it's going to allow one team or 1 or 2 teams to really hit it, nail it, and knock it out of the park. So either way, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to be at the event. You're going to be racing as part of the 360s. This one counting for SOS points, right? Okay.
Show up only for them. They announced this week. Show up points only for SOS, but full Ohsweken points. I'm not really in it, but you can watch the point battles for
Ohsweken, but I didn't know if it counted for SOS too.
Yeah, but SOS made that a decision this week. Is just show up points, which I don't know how I feel about it because I was hoping to run good.
You never know, right? You never know how it plays out. What could play out? I feel like you're gonna have a strong end of the season, and with that, let's get to a strong end of the show. We went an hour ish today. I mean, I got to do some editing here, but we'll see. Either
Mhm.
way, good chat with you. Good to be back on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Lots to come from Ohsweken, so make sure you're following us on social media. Southern Ontario Dirt Show on Facebook, at SODS_pod, POD, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. Maybe we'll get on Threads. Who knows? And yeah, more to come for the show. Is it dead already?
I thought Threads
Didn't
was
it just come
dead.
alive? I don't know.
It's
Whatever.
deader
It's
than a
social media.
doornail.
We're gonna put stuff out there. If you want to watch it and check it out, please do. And you know what we have to do? I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting to ask Teddy for stickers.
What?
I got to get some stickers printed. So I don't know if I'm gonna have a batch of
Yeah.
stickers ready for Monday, but
We'll get them. I did during the show think of another 63 that it wasn't on dirt, but it was
yeah.
you see they had the
Yep.
Dirt Sportsman on the Trois Rivières course.
There we
Ron
go.
Fellows was in
That's
a
a good one.
63. Your hero, Ron Fellows. Yeah. And he
Ooh.
put it in the tire barrier. I think he had the brakes fail. He had a little excursion into the tires, but he was
There
in
we
a
go.
63. That was the one I was thinking of. There was one more.
There
in my
we
head,
go.
and that
We
was
got it.
So we got it out.
All
at the
right.
end of the
This has
show.
been episode 63 of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. We will talk to you after a couple big nights from Ohsweken next week on the show. And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.